Let's give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Giving all praises to the Most High, whose true name in ancient Hebrew is Yahweh, in the name of his only begotten Son, whose true name in ancient Hebrew is Yahweh Shai, and the Holy Spirit, which in the ancient Hebrew is the Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders of GMS, who taught us this truth by the Holy Spirit. Honors to the brothers risking their life for freedom to push the gospel. Peace and blessings to the elect, who consist of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, which make up the lost 12 tribes of Israel. According to scripture and prophecy, the elect will be one-third of the Israelites. For the last days, are returning back to the salvation. By the two-thirds of Israel, who don't seek the Lord in time, be destroyed with America. So we back with another lesson through the mercy of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. And this is prayer of Asaph, aka the book of Psalms 83. So we're going to be breaking down Psalms, the 83rd chapter. You know, which is one that comes out all the time. This is Psalms 83. We're going to get 1 through 5, and we're going to jump back and forth between the KJV and the NLT. It says, keep not silence, O Lord, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Lord. And that's our prayer. And that's the request of the elect for the Lord to no longer hold his peace and to be not still. And this is why. For lo, it says, thine enemies make a tumult. It says, thine enemies, the enemies of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. For thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So again, thine enemies, the enemies of the Lord. Which in the NLT, it says, don't you hear the uproar of your enemies? Don't you see that your arrogant enemies are rising up? So it's speaking about the enemies of the Lord. Now, let's see at the enemies of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Let's see who his enemies are. Because if you ask an American Christian church, they tell you that the enemy of God is the devil. God has one enemy, and it's the devil. Or they may say his enemies may be Satan and his minions. But let's see if the Lord's enemies are Satan and his minions, or are they the other nations? People here on the earth. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Which we read in the NLT, it says, they devise crafty schemes against your people. They conspire against your precious ones. So who been taking crafty schemes against the Lord's people, the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans? Is it Satan and his minions, or is it Esau, Edom, the so-called white man in the other nations, including two-thirds of our people? Let's see who've been devising crafty schemes, taking crafty counsel against our people. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Which in the NLT, it says, come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. And what group of people on the earth been trying to wipe us out? Is it not Esau, Edom, the so-called white man? Not the devil or Satan and his minions. Not the demons of the underworld, as an American Christian church might say. Come, they say, let us wipe out Israel as a nation. We will destroy the very memory of its existence. Verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And look at that word confederate. You should think about the Confederate flag. You know, that racist white Edomite flag. And that's the only time you hear that word confederate, when it's making reference to that flag. But yeah, it says this was their unanimous decision. They signed a treaty as allies against you. And now what's that treaty? Well, you should think about the United Nations. which is made up of every country on earth, I believe, except Israel and Palestine. And then, of course, us, the Lost 12 Tribes, we got no seat at the UN. So you mean to tell me America, Russia, Ukraine, North Korea, South Korea, all these countries that's at war with one another, you mean to tell me um, they're allies at the UN? They can't come together and agree on nothing else, but what they do agree on is how to keep Israel in a low place, how to keep Israel in bondage, in the captivity, not only physically, but mentally. That's what takes place at the UN on how to cut Israel off from being a nation. Because again, these countries can't agree on nothing else. They can't agree on lands, oil, the global market, politics. They can agree on nothing else, but what they can't agree on is coming together to cut off Israel. Now let's see what nations or the Lord is about to list. Let's see who the Lord's enemies are. Based on how Psalms 83 opened up. When it's for low dying enemies, make it to up, the enemies of the Lord. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. Let's see, the tabernacles of Edom. So first it listed is Esau Edom, the so-called white man, because he's leading the charge in cutting off Israel and wiping out the Israelites. There goes Latinos, Native Americans. Esau Edom, the white man, is the head of that. He's the head of the UN. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarites, then the list of other nations. But Esau Edom, he's the main one. So we gonna get more on council because how exactly do you cut off Israel from being a nation? This is the book of Psalms. We're gonna come to the book of Psalms chapter 2. So we're gonna hit the book of Psalms chapter 2. How you doing, brother? It says, why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? And the heathen nations, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, the other nations. And what's this vain thing that they imagine, that they trying to do? Let's see. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together. They go that word counsel. And this is that crafty counsel spoken of in Psalms 83. It says they take crafty counsel with people. The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord. So the UN, that's a treaty, a gathering of all the nations on how they gonna rise up against the Most High. The rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, his people, the Israelites, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. See that? Let us break their bands asunder. You think about a band, you can think about a rope, a band, pretty much a connection. What they want to do is break the connection between the Most High and his people. How they can try to get the Lord to cast off his people Israel forever. Why? Because as long as Israel is in good standing with their God, Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, Israel can't be touched. And when we on top, all the other nations are down. But when we down, all the other nations are up. As according to the curses. Now we're gonna read this in the NLT because it takes it to the next level. Which I'm gonna just read the whole thing in the NLT. Why are the nations so angry? Why do they waste their time with futile plans? That's that vain thing. Pretty much something that the Lord is not gonna allow to happen. Not ever. The kings of earth prepare for battle. The rulers plot together against the Lord and against his anointed one, the 12 tribes. saying, let us break their chains. They cry and free ourselves from slavery to God. And that's ultimately what Esau, the white man, is trying to do. Because everybody is a prisoner to prophecy. The Lord got judgments written out for every nation. Yeah, the Lord got judgments written out for every nation. So there's no free will. You know, everybody has a destiny. And the destiny for the heathen Gentile nations is to be captives in the kingdom of Israel under Yahweh. And the white man, he's going to be in slavery and eventually exterminated from the face of the earth. That's why their birth rates are declining and the death rate is greatly accelerating for Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. That's why the sun is his enemy. That brings life to everything else in the earth. It brings death to Esau because he don't belong here. That's just a foreshadowing of his fate to be wiped off the face of the earth. And that's Job the 18th chapter. But see, again, everybody is a prisoner to Yahweh Shah, or a prisoner to prophecy to Yahweh Shah. And ultimately, what the white man is trying to do is offset prophecy. He want to escape his fate. He want to try to undo what's written concerning Edom and stay in power forever and never be wiped off the face of the earth. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go here real quick. I think it's let's see. And this is Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. When it says house, this represents a nation of people, the house of Esau. And Esau being in rulership. Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever, and that their dwelling places to all generations. They called their lands after their own names. And that's what Esau did. Came to power and renamed everything, renamed all the countries, after them. America, Africa, named after white men. But their inward thought is that they continue as a nation in power forever, implying that they plan on keeping the Israelites, the Lord shows the people, in slavery forever. And the Lord said that's a vain thing that the heathen imagine. The Lord not going to allow it to happen. So back to Psalms 2 and 3 NLT, let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from slavery to the Most High. They feel like the way they can break prophecy and change their fate, to undo what's written, is like keeping us separated from the Most High. As long as Israel remains separated from the Most High, I guess you could say prophecy wouldn't be able to be fulfilled. Prophecy would be at a standstill. But they was wrong. So now, and we gonna show even in more depth how they wanted to escape prophecy and separate us from the Most High, to get the Most High to cast off His people. We gonna come to the book of Judah, chapter 5. And I believe we're gonna get 1 through 3 real quick. Yeah, 1 through 3. And right here it says, a Troyer reviews the history of the Israelites. Let's see why. They wanted to look into our history. And that's the same reason why Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is into history. Because ultimately, when you're looking at our history, the Israelites, you can see, let's just get it. Then it was declared to Holofernes, the chief captain of the army of Assyria, that the children of Israel had prepared war and had shut up the passages of the hill country and had fortified all the tops of the high hills and laid impediments in the Champagne countries, wherewith he was very angry and called all the princes of Moab and the captains of Ammon and all the governors of the sea coast. And he said unto them, tell me now, you sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country. So calling the heathen nations, yo, what's up with these Israelites? Who are these people? And what are the cities that they inhabited? And what is the multitude of their army? And wherein is their power and strength? And what king is set over them, or captain of their army? So this king was asking the heathen Gentile nations, yo, what's up with these people, Israel? You know, what's the source of their power? What's their army like? What god or king rules over them? Why? Because they wanted to take over Israel. And this is why Esau the white man is into history. Because reviewing history, what we about to see, Esau Edom the white man used the same formula to figure out a way to come up against Israel, to try to get Israel cut off. Now we're going to jump down to verse 17. It says, and while they sinned before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. So we was in good standing with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and sinned not, and we prospered as a people. But when they departed from the way which he had appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles with very sword, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And that's how we came in America on slave ships. And the Native Americans of North, South, Central America, the Northern Kingdom, the so-called land, the Native Americans, that's how they got their lands taken over. And they was taken captives in their own land because we sinned against the Lord. Because why? We departed from the covenant, the laws and commandments. And it says, but when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles of every sort, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. It says, and the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and the cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered. So at that period of time, the Lord was dealing with his people Israel. You know, Israel wasn't cast off, so Israel was still victorious. It says, and have possessed Jerusalem where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. This is the point. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. And this is why Esau the white man study history, because when you study history and study a people, you see how that nation of people operate. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? And Esau, even the white man, got all this recorded history. Not just American history or European history, but history going back to the days of the Assyrians, the Babylonians. Esau got all that history. And so this even applies today. And when Esau the white man reviewed the history of the Israelites, they found out that if they can get our people to stray away from the law, statutes, and commandments, that the Lord would turn his face from his people. And that pretty much we would be defeated, conquered, and taken as slaves. It says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So yeah, if we return back to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, the Lord would defend us. That's why the awakening is such a dreadful, scary thing for Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Now, all of Israel not going to wake up, only the elect. And us waking up is a threat to his kingdom. That's why they want to take down the videos, give it video strikes. They're going to try to arrest you. And eventually, that's why they're going to target and persecute the prophets and the believers of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. It's a threat to his kingdom. And pretty much, that crafty counsel, them cutting off Israel from being a nation, is failing. Because, let's go there again. Psalms 83:3, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. And while we were identifying so-called blacks and Mexicans and African Americans, that was Israel being no more in remembrance. As long as a white man can keep us from our heritage, keep us from our identity, keep us from the names of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. But see, that failed. Divine intervention, the Lord sent us the Holy Spirit to bring these things to our remembrance. Returning back to our heritage, returning back to keeping the laws and commandments, the understanding of prophecy. So Esau gonna come down with great wrath and try to cut us off with the sword. Because they thought we'd never wake up. You know, the government spends trillions of dollars. It's to keep Israel separated from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Well, they wasted trillions of dollars because the Lord woke us up. So now they're preparing for a great slaughter for the whole house of Israel. That's why the Lord said, Matthew 24, and after the days be shortened, all the Israel will be wiped out. There will be no flesh left to be saved. We know only Israel can be saved. So had not the Lord shortened the days, he saw the white man would exterminate all the Israelites on earth. So continuing on, let me see. And this is the book of Jeremiah. That the Lord pretty much described what would happen to Israel once Israel would be separated from the Most High. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50. We're going to get 7 through 8. It says, actually, Jeremiah 50:6. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. So this is what happens when Israel is a lost sheep. Let me just real quick with Psalms chapter 119, verse 176. I have gone astray like a lost sheep. Seek thy servant, for I do not forget thy commandments. So when you forget the commandments, you know, discontinue from the covenant, you're a lost sheep. And what happens to a lost sheep? It gets devoured. You know, by the wolves or whatever else. Pretty much it's hunted. And we're a people robbed and spoiled. That's the book of Isaiah. Okay, so back to Jeremiah. We're going to start at 50:6 again. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. It says, all that found them have devoured them, the other nations. They've devoured the Israelites, the Lord's sheep. And our adversary said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord. The habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers. So that's how Esau the white man feels. That they can kill us and take us as slaves, rape, rob, and murder us, but they offend not. And they applying the formula in the book of Judah, the 5th chapter. Now let me go there again. Judah 5 and 20. Now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. Us being conquered, raped, robbed, and murdered as a people. Why? Because we sinned against the Lord. Let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Meaning, put us in captivity. But yeah, that's why Jeremiah said, all that found them have devoured them. But Esau's mentality, he offend not. Why? Because we sinned against the Lord. The Lord casts us off for the time being. So they feel like they can kill us and rape, rob, and murder us and enslave us without penalty. That they're gonna get away free. And that's why when you come to the book of Zechariah 5 and 11. Or excuse me, Zechariah 11 and 5. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. They think they're not guilty because we've sinned against the Lord. So they can kill us and devour us and do whatever they feel to us. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. And their shepherds pity them not. So, hey, what's up, bro? Oh, yeah, doing all right? Oh, yeah, bet. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that's how they feel. Because we sin against the Lord. Now, the Lord is upset with us. They can do as they please. But let's get this real quick. And let's show how Esau, even the white man, is guilty for Israel going astray. Us, discontinuing from our heritage, forgetting the names of the Lord, breaking the covenant. Our people was doing that already. But we're going to show that Esau forced our people to err away from Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. And that's the difference. Between the other nations and Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Because in the other nations, when they took us into captivity, Israel was allowed to continue to serve the Lord for the most part. They were allowed to continue in the heritage of their forefathers. They was allowed to keep their identity. But see, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he came on the scene and said, no, Israel, you can't call yourself a Jew no more. You can't identify as an Israelite no more. No, you can't keep the commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. You can't continue in the heritage of your forefathers. So Esau, the so-called white man, he forced our people to discontinue from the ways of the Lord. And we're going to show this in the book of Maccabees, which is in the Apocrypha, which is originally part of the Bible. Now this is dealing with the time of the Greeks. What is the portion of the Bible that's missing? Because the Bible covers the 4 beasts. But for some reason, the 3rd beast is missing. Hold on. Yeah, which would be the Greeks. And it says, Antiochus tries to replace, I'm not going to say Judaism because that's incorrect, but Antiochus tries to replace, we can say the laws and commandments with paganism. So we're going to read how the Greeks forced our people to become pagans. Pretty much forced them to become Gentiles. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And everyone should leave his laws, so all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. So Antiochus wanted the Israelites to forget the laws of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua, to discontinue from the heritage of their forefathers, and to follow the ways of the Greeks. It says, yeah, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. So shows you that religion ain't got nothing to do with the Bible. Religion would be the ways of the heathen nations. Yet many of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. It says, for the king hath sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem in the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, that they should profane the Sabbaths and feast days and pollute the sanctuary and holy people. So the temple and us as a people, we were being polluted by the ways of the heathen. Esau, even the so-called white man. It says, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. That they shall also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. So our people will become abominable because of the mandate of these even so-called white man. This is enforcing our people in the wickedness to totally forget Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah. It says to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. So the white man applies the formula in Judah the 5th chapter. If Israel sinned against the Most High, if they tear away from Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Israel can be conquered. And that's a crafty counsel that we're breaking down in Psalms the 83rd chapter. And that's also Psalms the 2nd chapter when they say, the counsel against the Lord and his anointed. Let us break their bands asunder. Trying to get the Lord to cast off his people. All right, how y'all doing? All right, but yeah, verse 49 again, to the end, they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. So if Israel continue in the ways of their forefathers, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shah, they will be put to death. And you can save yourself by consenting to the strange laws of the Greeks. You saw even the so-called white man. In the self-same manner, wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanded the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. So a remnant of Judah, a good portion of Judah, they weren't consenting to the strange laws. So what? Esau, the white men, the Greeks, they set up officers over Judah, to force our people to no longer keep the commandments of the Most High, but to follow the strange laws of the Greeks. That many of the people were gathered unto him, to wit, everyone that forsook the law. And so they committed evils in the land. So when our people followed the ways of Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, evils increased, amongst Israel, and drove the Israelites in the secret places. So those are our people who wanted to continue to keep the law. They was forced into hiding. They had to go hide out. And that's going to happen here in this lifetime. Because what's that strange law they're going to force on our people here at the end? The RFID microchip. The strange law of the same people. The Greeks, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. America is nothing but the reincarnation of the Greek and Roman Empire. And that strange law, it's gonna begin with that microchip, the mark of the beast. Doing what? Forcing the elect in the secret places. We're gonna go back into hiding. It says, even wheresoever they could flee for succor. And I believe that word there is help. Now the 15th day, of the month of Chislev, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar. So what? And the temple being defiled. And see, Yahweh Shai spoke about that. The abomination that makes desolation. Showing you that the missing books of the Bible, called the Apocrypha, lines up perfectly with the Holy Bible. And build their idols throughout the cities of Judah on every side. So Esau the white man is completely forcing our people into wickedness, forcing them to forget the covenant, that they may totally forget Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah, that the Lord may totally and completely cast off his people. It says, and burn incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. So our people neck deep in the idol worship, but it's being forced on them. And building idols throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burn incense at the door of their houses and in the streets. Verse 56. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law, to rent something, it means to tear. To rent means to tear. That's why he says, when they had rent in pieces the book of the law, which they found, they burned them with fire. So the Greeks now finding the books of the law, the books of the prophets, the books of Moses. You saw the white man was ripping them to pieces and burning them. See, there's something, the Bible destruction group. So Esau fulfilled that again. You know, with burning Bibles. Hey, that was a trend going on a few years back. Just finding trash cans full of Bibles burnt. But see, that's why Esau gave you the slave Bible. That's him written in pieces, the book of the law. Pretty much ripping out and taking out most of the book. You know, no other heathen nation had done that.
What's up with it, man?
But Esau, them so-called white man. Hey, what's up, bro?
What you been doing, man?
Man.
You out here preaching or what?
Yeah, going into Bible prophecy. So
What
now,
you reading today?
we break it down Psalms 83. If you come over here, you're gonna be on camera. I don't know.
That's cool.
Okay, but pretty much,
I got Psalms 23:8 on my chest.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with Psalms.
Yeah, though I walk the valley of shadow of death.
Yeah.
Yah, thou staff be with me.
Yep.
And thy staff comfort me. And
Yep.
thy staff protect my family, and so forth. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
okay. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna show you this, bro.
Okay.
So we break it down, pretty much going into Bible prophecy. The Lord had a chosen people, the Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
That's the people on his side. So-called African Americans, Latin Americans, and Native Americans. You see yourself on there? You look like you come from one of them tribes.
I come from God. I don't come from no tribe.
Nah, the Lord had a chosen people.
No, I come from God. I just believe in God and in Jesus. I believe in God. God has a son. And I believe there are prophets and things of that nature. I believe there are prophets. You know what I'm saying? But I believe in I don't got my faith is too much. God and Jesus.
So Lord created all people, but he had a chosen people.
Yeah, the 12 disciples.
No, not them. That would be from the house of Judah. So but he pretty much got some more pictures showing he was next to those people. So the reason I was trying to show you this, maybe with the story of Moses in Egypt. Moses said, free my people.
Yeah, sure.
America is Egypt. Yeah. That's why the pyramid on the back of the dollar.
Yeah.
You know what the Lord did to ancient Egypt.
Yeah.
So what you think the Lord gonna do to America for enslaving his people? For enslaving his
Same
people?
thing.
Like the ancient
Yeah,
Egypt.
same thing.
Yep.
Like ancient shit. Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
So ultimately, what
Like
the Lord
pharaohs
gonna do?
and stuff like that.
Pharaoh would be front.
Yeah.
So the Lord gonna destroy this Egypt with fire.
Yeah.
So that war that's going on with Iran, that's all the
I believe that. I believe that though because he already took us by water. He already told us that he ain't gonna take us by water again. He would never take us by water again. He will take us by fire. He said that in the Bible.
Yep, and that fire is not a place underground called hell. The fire gonna come from above. Just like the Sodom and Gomorrah. He rained fire and brimstone on Sodom and Gomorrah. He's gonna do that to America for spreading wickedness and abominations throughout the earth and for enslaving his people. So pretty much, I got this sign. I know you say you're not from a tribe, but the point is,
yeah, I know Judah and all them. I know Time. I know all the names. But I don't believe in tribes.
So the tribes in the Bible, though.
Yeah, I know.
The point I'm telling you this is that if you,
I just believe in solidification. You know what I'm saying?
I get you, bro. So
if that makes sense, you know what I'm saying? Because this is I got Puerto Ricans, I got Dominicans, I got Haitians, I got Americans, black black people, I got American Mexicans, I have everybody in my family. We're a mixed group.
So the reason I'm telling you this, why check,
We have all this shit.
give me like 2 minutes real quick, bro. My bad.
Yeah,
So
go
check
ahead.
this out. So the church preaches salvation. That's correct, but salvation ain't for everybody.
Nah.
I can prove that too with scripture.
Some
So
people don't want salvation. Some people want problems and shit like that.
the thing is, when the Lord send no missives to America, the Lord gonna save a remnant of His people. He's only bringing salvation to the Israelites. So it's important for us to know, that we come from one of the 12 tribes of Israel, because we the only people that qualify for salvation. Ain't nothing gonna matter more when no missiles over America. So that's why I was asking if you see yourself on there, because you look like it, but
you gotta also read what you say right here. It says Most High.
Yeah.
That is God and Jesus. That's Most High. That's what I believe.
And then look at Deuteronomy 7:6.
I have to read into this. I never read into this type of Israelite section. I've never read into that.
Yeah. I'm gonna show you what the Lord said.
I have not never read into the Israelite section or anything like that.
It says, "For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, and the Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto Himself above all people that are on the face of the earth." So the Lord got a special. He only coming back for His people. That's pretty much what I'm doing out here. So telling our people they got to return back to the Most High, because if they don't, they're gonna be part of that lake of fire. I'm gonna show you this one too. We're dealing with the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast is the almighty microchip. So in their new world order, in these smart cities, it's gonna be like everything digital. You only gonna have access if you receive a microchip. Like swipe your hand to pay. It's gonna be a digital wallet. The government gonna come up with their own cryptocurrency. That's gonna be the new form of money. So the paper money, the green money, or whether it's in a bank account that we work for now, they're gonna crash the economy. And our people, we can't take that microchip. And if we do, we're gonna be in that lake of fire. So warning our people what's to come before it happens. Because they say no one has to battle. But that's pretty much what I'm doing out here. But
what you got going on, man?
Yeah, but I'm gonna share this with you too, though. So the name of the Lord is not God and Jesus. Yeah. I can show you a couple things real quick.
Everybody has different beliefs, though. You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna show you this real quick in the book of Acts chapter 4, verse 12. Neither is there salvation in any other, for there is no other name under heaven given among men whereby we must be saved. Which in the NLT it says God has given no other name under heaven whereby we must be saved. So showing there's only one name that can save, and that's the importance of knowing that name. Look it up later tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna look this shit up.
Yeah, I was gonna say take a picture, but look up the letter J. The letter J didn't exist before the 1500s. So if the letter J is only about 500 years old, how could his name be Jesus or Jehovah? So that's all part of their lies that they force on our people. Yeah. Now what I got here, the name of the Most High Yahweh, and there the son would be Yahweh Shah. Now here, the modern Hebrew would be incorrect. Even when you look at the modern,
but that's why everybody goes by now.
That's a prophecy. I can show you that.
Everybody is Hebrew. Hebrew is a prophecy. Hebrew is a book. Also.
Yep. So I'm gonna show you this real quick. Let me see. Exactly right. Hebrew is a book. This is Zephaniah 3. That's not it. Zephaniah 3. Here we go. For then I will turn the people to a pure language, that they may call upon the name of the Lord to serve him with one consent. That pure language is the Hebrew, the original. So the Lord said he would turn us back to the Hebrew to call on his name in Hebrew. Yeah. That's the only name that's going to save us.
Not in English. different language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check this out. Even the modern Hebrew, them Jews, they the fake Jews. They're not the people. But even in their modern Hebrew, what they got is that the name of the Lord and the name of the Son should be identical. And that's according to Scripture. So if you look at this first, because Hebrew reads right to left, actually. So when you look at this first character,
it's almost everything's backwards.
It is.
It's backwards. Yeah.
So look at these first letters. That one. We got this one here, this one here. Then we got this, and then we got this. So the name of the Father, the name of the Son should be identical. Jesus and Jehovah are nothing alike. Yahweh and Yeshua, not really that much alike either. But Yahweh and Yahweh. So every time you say the name of the Son, you glorify the name of the Father as well. Like the Lord named his Son after himself. So I can show you some of that too. This is the book of Proverbs 30 and 4. Who have ascended into heaven or descended, gathered the wind in his fist, who owns the waters in the garment, who established all the ends of the earth. That's the point. What is his name and what is his son's name? They got to tell. So it says, what is his name?
What is his son's name? So really they just gave his name.
They did, but what it's saying too, why it say what is his name? His name is Yahweh, and then right after it says what is his son's name? Because if you can say the name of the Father, that's pretty much telling you the name of the Son. And what's his name? Yahweh.
Believe in God and believe in the Messiah, which is his Son. It's the same thing. It's God and his Son.
Yeah, because like Jesus.
It's the same thing that I believe in. It's just a different point of view. You know what I'm saying? Same thing. I believe in God as the Father and Messiah.
Because it's pretty the devil. So the devil just means deceiver. So they gave us a fake, a white image, and they gave us a fake name. But the Lord said he would turn us to that pure language to call upon his name with one consent.
So basically he's saying getting to Hebrew language, what you're saying.
Not to fully talking Hebrew, but he would turn us back to that. He would lead us back to the ancient Hebrew to call on his true name. That's gonna be the only name that saves when they get bad out here.
I got you.
I don't know if you got
I'm gonna look it up.
I'm definitely gonna look it up. I don't know if you got the YouTube app on your phone. Yeah, I'm about to say I'll give you the channel.
I'm gonna look this up. I want to look it up. I know you be out here, so I'm gonna come back and talk to you. I want to look it up myself.
Okay, yeah, that's the bet, bro.
Sure.
All right. Hey, Shalom to daughter Yahweh, Rebecca Ophir, brother Kalad, brother Kabbalah, Yahweh Bashi, now Shabbat, y'all. So I believe it was in the book of Maccabees. So we got that they were burning the Bibles. And that whoever wasn't keeping the laws of the Greeks, they were to be put to death. And wheresoever was found in the book of the Testament, okay, we're gonna start at verse 56. And they had written pieces of the books of the law which they found, they burned them with fire. And wheresoever was found with any of the book of the Testament, or if any consented to the law, meaning the laws and commandments, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death. So if anybody was found with any of the books of Moses, any of the books of the prophets, if you were found trying to honor and to keep any of the law, statutes, and commandments, if Israel was keeping any of the heritage of their forefathers, they were to be put to death. And these are the white man that put this on our people. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many were found in the cities. So every month they'll go through the cities of Judah, putting to death any of the Israelites that was keeping the law. They're doing that every month. Now the 5 and 20th day of the month, they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which is upon the altar of the Most High, sacrificing abominables. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. They hanged the infants about their necks and rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them. See that? Killing the women, hanging the infants by the necks, throwing them off of balconies, rifling. Uh, it's pretty much rape, rob, and murdering entire Israelite neighborhoods and communities. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. And see, the elect gonna have that same mentality. We're not gonna partake in none of Esau's mandates pertaining to the Arafati microchip. And in the literal sense, we're not eating any unclean thing either, ranging from pork and shrimp to the white man's philosophies, his fake science, falsely so-called, his religion, white Jesus. We not eating of any unclean thing neither, especially the Arafati microchip. Let's continue. Wherefore they chose rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant, so then they died. So those who kept the law, statutes, commandments, they were put to death. That's coming back in the earth. And that's Revelation 12 and 17. And Revelation 20 and 4. Matter of fact, we're going to go there real quick. Revelation 12 and 17. And the dragon was wroth with the woman and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, that woman being Israel, that remnant being the elect, which keep the commandments of the Most High, have the testimony of Yahweh Shah. So Esau, beginning with the Greeks, waged war against the Israelites for serving Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shah. Well, Esau gonna do that again here at the end. And then when you get this, matter of fact, we're gonna get this in the book of Revelation chapter 6. I think 6 and 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of the Most High and the testimony which they held. So there's going to be certain believers that be killed for having the testimony of Yahweh Shah, for trying to keep the commandments of the Most High here in America. And one of the main ones is not getting that microchip. So Esau about to do everything he did before all over again, but greatly intensified. So like to be a great slaughter against our people. Now, when we come back to the book of Maccabees to end off chapter 1, it says there was very great wrath upon Israel. And now ultimately, the wrath was from the Most High, because Israel had been going off, receiving warning over and over again. But see, Esau was a nation that would completely make Israel forget their heritage, forget the laws and commandments of the Most High, and to forget the names of the Lord. No other nation of people had done that against the Israelites. And the white man did it again here in America. And we grew up believing, the lies of the devil. Everything we grew up learning is a lie. Who we are, who God is, the understanding of the Bible, all a lie. Now we're going to continue to the book of Second Maccabees. We're going to get chapter 6, verse 6. Go on. And it say this: neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So